Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Little People, Big World gave us years of family love, drama, and resilience. Fans around the globe watched Amy Roloff rebuild her life, marry Marek, and find happiness after heartbreak. But behind the cameras, shadows were growing. In today's video, we uncover a shocking story, one filled with betrayal, secret affairs, stolen fortunes, and ultimately justice. Amy Roloff's house sold for $300,000. Soon after, Marek and Amy Roloff officially separated. But the truth was darker than anyone imagined. Chris cunningly stole Amy's $550,000 savings and secretly fled. With that money, he went to his secret girlfriend, Jennifer. For the past year, Chris had been hiding a romantic relationship with her. Eventually, the truth caught up. Chris was arrested and sentenced to 6 months in jail. This is not just another celebrity scandal. It's a story of trust broken, money stolen, and a shocking betrayal that shook the Roloff legacy. It all began with Amy Roloff's decision to sell her charming home for $300,000. To her fans, it looked like a simple real estate move. After all, she and Chris had often spoken about downsizing and starting fresh. Amy, known for her big heart and careful planning, had saved for years. Her nest egg of $550,000 was meant for her retirement, family gatherings, and even a legacy for her children. But behind her cheerful smile, Chris had different plans. Unknown to Amy, he had been secretly communicating with a woman named Jennifer. Their affair had already stretched past a year, hidden beneath late-night phone calls, business meetings, and unexplained absences. The house sale wasn't just about a new chapter, it was the perfect cover. Chris now had access to large sums of Amy's money, and he knew exactly what to do next. On the surface, Amy and Chris looked like the perfect couple. Viewers saw them smiling at family gatherings and hosting friends at their cozy home. But those closest to Amy began to notice subtle cracks, tiny warning signs that something was not quite right. Chris had grown distant. He was often distracted, his phone glued to his hand, and he would disappear for hours with vague excuses. At first, Amy brushed it off. Chris had his real estate career, and she believed his absences were simply part of the job. But slowly, Amy began to feel a weight in her chest. Nights felt colder, conversations shorter. The man she had trusted after so much heartbreak seemed like he was slipping away. Friends noticed too. At one gathering, Amy's longtime friend Lisa whispered, "Amy, he doesn't look at you the way he used to." Amy laughed it off, but deep down the words cut. And then came the financial shift. Chris began insisting that he should manage the couple's savings. He argued that since he understood real estate and investments, he could grow Amy's nest egg into something larger. Trusting him, Amy reluctantly agreed. What she didn't know was that Chris had already begun funneling portions of her $550,000 into accounts she could not access, accounts linked not only to him but to a woman she had never met, Jennifer. The affair had already been going on for a year, hidden in shadows and sealed with promises Chris never intended to keep. Every smile he gave Amy in public, every kiss on camera, it was all part of a mask. A mask hiding a betrayal that would soon erupt into one of the most shocking scandals of Amy Roloff's life. For over a year, Chris had been living a double life. To Amy, he was the caring husband, the supportive partner, and the man who promised her stability after years of heartbreak. But when he wasn't by Amy's side, he was with Jennifer. Jennifer was younger, vibrant, and knew exactly how to keep Chris hooked. Their romance began quietly, an innocent friendship sparked during a real estate networking event. First, their conversations seemed professional. But soon, late-night texts turned into secret meetings, and those meetings grew into full weekends together. Chris showered Jennifer with gifts, designer handbags, jewelry, luxury dinners. But these weren't bought with his own earnings. Every indulgence came from Amy's money. The $550,000 she had carefully saved over years was being drained piece by piece to fund a relationship she had no idea existed. Jennifer, knowing Chris's position, played her role carefully. She encouraged him to be independent, telling him he deserved more than living under Amy's financial shadow. She whispered promises of a new life together, not built on honesty but on deceit. Two created elaborate lies. Chris told Amy he had client meetings in nearby cities when in reality he was checking into luxury hotels with Jennifer. Amy, trusting and loyal, never suspected the truth. But Jennifer wasn't just a secret girlfriend, she was a partner in the scheme. She knew about Amy's savings and encouraged Chris to take more. Together, they plotted how to siphon money without raising suspicion. By the time Amy began questioning her husband's behavior, almost half of her nest egg was gone. Yet, Chris continued smiling, lying, and holding Amy's hand in public as if nothing was wrong. But secrets have a way of slipping into the light. Amy Roloff had always trusted her instincts. Life had taught her resilience. And though she often gave people the benefit of the doubt, she knew when something wasn't right. With Chris, the doubts started as whispers in her mind, soft, ignorable, but soon they grew louder. First, it was the phone calls. Chris would step outside late at night, lowering his voice, pacing back and forth on the porch. When Amy asked who it was, he'd smile casually and say, "Just a client, nothing important." But the calls never ended. Then there were the unexplained receipts. Amy found a hotel invoice tucked inside Chris's jacket pocket, 2 nights at a luxury resort out of town. She asked him about it, but Chris waved it off as business travel. Amy, uneasy but unwilling to spark conflict, let it slide. But deep down, her heart ached. She remembered how Matt Roloff had once made her feel unseen, and she couldn't shake the feeling that history was repeating itself. Her friends noticed too. Lisa, her closest confidant, pulled her aside after a family barbecue. "Amy, something's wrong. I've seen that look before. He's hiding something." Amy tried to brush it off, but her voice trembled when she replied, "I want to believe he loves me, but I don't know anymore." The breaking point came one afternoon when Amy went to transfer money from her savings account. She had carefully kept track of her finances for years. But what she saw made her hands tremble. Nearly $200,000 was missing. At first, she thought it was a mistake, a glitch. She even called the bank hoping for reassurance. But the banker confirmed the funds had been withdrawn legally by Chris, who had been added as a joint account holder months earlier. Amy's chest tightened. Her mind raced. Where had the money gone? That night, Chris returned home with flowers, acting as if nothing had happened. But Amy could no longer ignore the truth. The man she trusted with her heart and her future wasn't just pulling away emotionally. He was pulling away financially too. And Amy Roloff was about to uncover a betrayal far deeper than she could have ever imagined. Amy Roloff had always been a woman of resilience. Her life on Little People, Big World had shown fans her unwavering strength, her ability to pick herself up after heartbreak, and her determination to create a happy life despite the obstacles. But nothing could have prepared her for the storm that Chris Marek had quietly unleashed. The weeks after discovering the missing money were tense. Amy felt a mixture of disbelief and betrayal. She replayed every interaction in her mind, wondering how she had been so blind. Every shared laugh, every affectionate gesture now carried the shadow of deceit. How had Chris hidden such a huge secret from her? How had he stolen not just her heart but her savings? Amy started digging. She combed through bank statements, tracked withdrawals, and pieced together the hidden accounts where her money had disappeared. Each discovery was like another punch to the chest. Luxury hotel stays, extravagant dinners, designer gifts, all paid for by her hard-earned savings. Every detail painted a picture of a life Chris had built behind her back, a life with Jennifer. Friends rallied around Amy, offering support and guidance. Lisa was her rock. "Amy, we need to get a lawyer," she insisted. "This isn't just a personal betrayal. It's theft. You have to protect yourself." Amy reluctantly agreed. She knew it would be messy. The idea of taking legal action against the man she had once loved filled her with both dread and resolve. But there was no other way. Justice, she realized, was the only way to reclaim her life. Her lawyer quickly uncovered the full scope of Chris's actions. It wasn't just impulsive spending, this was a calculated, premeditated plan. Chris had secretly moved funds, transferred ownership of assets, and even lied about joint accounts. It was clear Chris had used the house sale as a cover to access Amy's money, and Jennifer had knowingly assisted him. The revelations hit Amy hard. She had trusted Chris completely, even after the heartbreaks of her past. And now that trust had been shattered. She began to question everything, the private moments, the smiles, the words he had spoken. Could she ever see him the same way again? But Amy wasn't just going to cry over betrayal. She was determined to fight. She filed a legal complaint citing both fraud and embezzlement. Case quickly gained attention. Fans who had watched Amy's journey on television were shocked. The woman they had cheered for, the woman who seemed to have finally found happiness, was now facing a shocking betrayal that threatened not just her heart, but her financial security. As the investigation unfolded, Chris's carefully constructed double life began to crumble. Phone records, financial trails, and witness testimonies all pointed to the same conclusion. He had planned the theft, he had lied repeatedly, and he had betrayed Amy in the most profound way imaginable. Jennifer's involvement became a key element of the case. Emails, texts, and receipts revealed her knowledge of the stolen money. She had encouraged Chris, facilitated secret transfers, and actively participated in maintaining the illusion of a legitimate life. Her complicity shocked everyone. How could someone so close to him, someone who had known the truth, allow this to happen? Meanwhile, Amy leaned on her children for emotional support. They had grown up watching their mother navigate life with grace, and now it was her children's turn to be her strength. They reminded her of her resilience, of the lessons she had taught them about honesty, integrity, and standing up for oneself. The legal battle was intense. Every hearing brought new revelations. Chris continued to deny some allegations, but the evidence was overwhelming. Bank records, luxury hotel invoices, and witness statements painted a clear picture. The court could see what Amy had known all along: Chris had betrayed her in every possible way. Public reaction was swift. Fans expressed outrage on social media. Articles ran with headlines like Marek betrays Amy Roloff, secret affair and stolen savings, and Amy Roloff's $550,000 taken in shocking scandal. Support poured in from all corners of the country. People admired Amy not just for surviving the betrayal, but for her courage in taking action. Through it all, Amy maintained her composure. She refused to let anger consume her. Instead, she focused on what she could control: her life, her finances, and her future. She worked closely with her lawyer to ensure every dollar of her savings was accounted for and that Chris faced justice. The day of the verdict arrived. Marek was found guilty of embezzlement and sentenced to 6 months in jail. The ruling was a relief, but also bittersweet. Justice had been served, but the emotional toll on Amy was immense. She had lost trust, she had lost time, and she had been forced to confront betrayal at its deepest level. In the aftermath, Amy took steps to rebuild her life. She sold her home and moved to a new place, starting fresh. The $550,000 she had saved was partially recovered, thanks to the legal process, though some losses remained. More importantly, Amy reclaimed